Trump knows that it's the one story that his MAGA base will not tolerate about him. That is pedophilia. 56% of Americans have little or no faith in Trump's judgment using foreign power abroad.
Saturday Coffee Klatch.
And it is the Saturday Coffee Klatch with Heather Lofthouse and yours truly, Robert Reich. And Heather, it is once again very, very good to see you. Are you okay? How have you been? How was your week?
My week is fine. I'm feeling a little disgusted and deflated.
More disgusted and deflated than we are normally because of the disgusting and deflating administration we have?
Yeah, I don't know. This week was, an interesting one. I mean, sometimes I come in here fiery and you come in here fiery. This has been a fascinating one. But let's break it down. Let's figure out.
So what are we going to talk about? Yes.
Well, first of all, I don't think you're using one of our mugs. Which is
this
fine,
mug,
but I'm a little taken aback by that.
No, this is a very special mug. This is a mug given to me by my dear neighbor, and it's a Pedro Friedenberg mug. He's a famous artist. You may have heard of him. And it's I love this mug. It is fabulous. I'm not giving up our mug. I want you to know that I love our mugs, but this is
I have this mug. It was given to me by Michael, who we work with, and it's what's called a Robert Reich. It's a Robert Reich.
It's a Robert Reich
drawing.
Heather.
And so I love drinking out of this, and I know some of our listeners drink out of it. Okay, anyway, what are we going to talk about? Are we going to war with Iran? Can we please talk about that? How about when Mayor Mamdani went and outsmarted Trump, worked Trump? So let's talk about that and what it meant in terms of ICE and what's happening with ICE. The Epstein scandal continues. We got to talk about mergers.
How are we ever going to have time for all of this, Heather?
Oh, we could talk about even more. I know. Should we we're going to have to move into decaf.
Well, let's move into it right away. It's obviously no laughing matter. We are getting ready to go to war, it looks like, with no justification given by our president. There is no war powers. Congress has not been involved. But even the things that he has said in the State of the Union and elsewhere to so-called justify this attack on Iran, they are not verified. There is no evidence. This is all more fake Trump stuff. It's trumped up. It's trumped up. That's where he gets his name from. Donald trumped up charges.
Well, one of his titles is Commander-in-Chief, right?
Yes.
And I can't believe, at first I was thinking about what are we going to talk about today and what are the topics and should we talk about tariffs and, as I'm driving here. And then I thought, the war should be on the list. And then I thought the war should be on the list. How is this not more? Do you remember the Iraq war? Probably even better than I do because I was in my teens. But basically,
Heather, I even remember the Korean War.
That's true. I know.
I was alive in the Korean War.
Well, was there more buildup for the Korean War? I mean, for the Iraq War, it was like we needed justification. Colin Powell went to the UN. It was taken very seriously.
Well, there was an Iraqi war resolution that went through Congress. Hillary Clinton voted in favor of it, and Bernie Sanders voted against it. And this was a big, big deal when they were both in the Democratic primary for president.
But then none of this is happening now.
Nothing.
This feels like it's happening overnight, practically.
No, it's worse. It's worse than that. Last Sunday, Steve Witkoff, who is a real estate developer, the State Department is out of this. The National Security Administration, Council is out of this. It's just Steve Witkoff, the realtor, friend of Trump, and Jared Kushner, who is Trump's son-in-law. They're doing all this negotiating. And last Sunday, Steve Witkoff, what does he say? He tells Fox News that Iran is probably a week away from having an industrial-grade bomb-making material. And the Wall Street Journal reported the claim that was, even the Wall Street Journal said that it was false and cited all sorts of specialists who say that this is made up. This is not the case. And then Tuesday night, Trump claimed that Iran is storing and restarting its program to build a nuclear missile that will soon reach the United States. That's what he said in the State of the Union. It will soon reach the United States. There is no basis for this. All of the experts, all the people who watch foreign policy, who know anything about Iran, say this is not the case. This is his pretext for war. This is why we have the largest armada. We have a huge buildup of army and air force and navy around Iran, near Iran.
Yep, on the way.
It's all based on bullshit.
I know. And remember last June, he said, Iran's been handled that strike, done. Got it handled.
Well, look at this is
so serious.
It's
and
so
also,
serious, and
the electorate is not happy about it.
Heather, he was elected partly because he said, number one, he'd bring prices down. Obviously, he didn't do that. And number two, he said that he'd avoid foreign entanglements. And what is he doing? It's not just Venezuela. He abducts the president of Venezuela, and now he is on the brink of war with Iran. And some people are saying, oh, well, Republicans are saying, oh, well, we're not actually going to war. This is just brinksmanship. This is just building his bargaining leverage. But we're beyond that. We're very, very closely beyond that. I mean, he's now saying we're going to attack Iran.
So the midterms are coming up. If the shape of Congress and the breakdown of Congress changes, and some Dems are actually in the majority, I mean, things are going to have to change, right? I mean, this is not, Congress I have seen them, are they talking about this? Are they saying, excuse me, Commander-in-Chief, don't forget what the Constitution says?
Well, Congress is not debating at all. The Democrats are trying to get a war powers resolution going. As far as I can tell, there's only one Republican who've joined them so far.
Massey, right?
Massey, but nothing has happened. They don't have the votes. But interestingly, the latest AP poll, Heather, shows that 56% of Americans have little or no faith in Trump's judgment using foreign power abroad.
Yeah.
The majority of Americans have little or no faith in his judgment in using force abroad. This is why are Republicans why is there just one Republican standing up to him?
I know. It's the same old story, right? It's just, you saw at the end of the State of the Union, which was more just a state of his mind. I mean, there was not actually talking about the State of the Union.
Well, he never does. I mean, it's now just the state of his mind, and his mind is illusory. It's he's filled with.
He is illusory.
He's a loser. He's a illusory loser. He doesn't know what he's making things up on the spur of the moment.
But you saw him exit the State of the Union, and everyone's like, "Oh God, you were so wonderful," and handshakes, and I need your autograph, and selfies, and oh, Mr. President, wow, oh, we can't, wow, incredible, and the best, and you're, oh God, this was the greatest.
Well, this is one of the problems.
That's what Congress is doing.
When you get an authoritarian like that, he's only getting positive feedback. Nobody dares tell him the truth. Nobody gives him actually a mirror to what he is doing. So he thinks he's doing great. I mean, this is the authoritarian trap. He thinks he's doing great, but Americans, meanwhile, are turning against him. The only people who are there with him are the people who are saying, you're great, Mr. President. And that includes a lot of Republicans who are afraid of his vindictiveness. Right.
Can we talk about Mayor Mamdani going to D.C. and just working him? I mean, it's so good. It's so apparently President Trump, after they last spoke, said, come to me with some big ideas. And so Zoran and team said, watch us come with some big ideas, showed up, said, you know what we need? Billions for affordable housing in New York. And you know how great you're going to look if you give us that? And let's juxtapose you with Ford. And we're going to show you 2 newspapers. Look at you on the cover of this made up newspaper. Aren't you incredible? Look at how incredible your fake self on this fake newspaper is. And he's like,
the mayor knows how to do it, how to work Trump. It's terrific.
It's so good. And
he
so
also, by the way,
hopefully-
he also got, because of that meeting, Trump also released this Columbia student who was being held on the basis of almost nothing. I mean, she was perfectly legally here. She had a visa, but ICE agents came to her Columbia University housing. They dragged her out at 6 a.m. in the morning.
Well, they falsely said they were looking for a 5-year-old in the building.
Well, that's how they got in the building.
Yep.
They said they were police. They didn't
Yep.
say they were ICE, and they
Yep.
also did not have a warrant.
Yeah. I know. That was Elia Gayeva. And she also has this big following on Instagram, and she immediately put up a video of it. I mean, it's interesting to watch. I'm so glad she's out. But I mean, certain people, you have that story, and then you have this horrific story of this Rohingya refugee, which I know you've been watching, and so many people have. This blind man in Buffalo, New York, who they took in after...
It wasn't ICE, it was Border Patrol.
Exactly,
right?
forgive me.
Yeah.
It was Border Patrol. And he ended up dying. They dropped him off. I mean, he was brought in. We don't know what the pretext
But he was here legally. He was
Yeah.
a refugee.
Yeah.
He was a Rohingya refugee. He was here in Buffalo legally, and they they arrested him and they dropped him off 5 miles? He's blind?
Yep.
I mean,
And
what kind of cruelty are we seeing here?
in Buffalo. Can we talk about the temperature in Buffalo?
And Buffalo, New York. I mean, you want to be cold?
I know. It's so
I mean,
tragic.
seriously,
This one
seriously,
really hit
Heather,
me.
I talk to some people who say to me, oh, well, ICE is leaving Minneapolis, and so it's all over. No, ICE is getting worse. Its recruitment is getting worse. It has more money than it's ever had all over America. It's even still in the Twin Cities area. It's just in the suburbs.
We had a whistleblower come out this week saying, I'll tell you what's happening in terms of training of
None.
ICE. It's not happening.
And
it's a
worse
lot of
than
money.
that. The whistleblower that I read, the whistleblower's testimony, what the whistleblower said is that they are being told, the trainees for ICE are being told, disregard the Constitution.
Yep. No warrants necessary. Come on. We don't have to do those.
On my first day, I received secretive orders to teach new cadets to violate the Constitution by entering homes without a judicial warrant. For the last 5 months, I watched ICE dismantle the training program, cutting 240 hours of vital classes from a 584-hour program. Classes that teach the Constitution, our legal system, firearms training, the use of force, lawful arrests, proper detention, and the limits of officers' authority.
Homeland Security has got to be shut down. I'm sorry. I mean, when the Democrats get in, I hope they get in power. I hope they take over at least one chamber of Congress, and ICE has got to be shut down. Border Patrol has got to be totally changed and reformed. The Department of Homeland Security and their budget have got to be totally reassessed. I mean, yes, you need FEMA and you need maybe Coast Guard, but a lot of other things that they're doing are outrageous, should never be done inside the United States.
I know it, and it continues. And I think you're right. Even in Minnesota, I mean, it's moving to the suburbs. It's not that it's gone.
It's there.
People don't feel safe.
I have not, I won't say spies. I have people who are former students of mine, friends of mine, people who I know in Minnesota and in other states, in Michigan. And I get, I was labor secretary. I was out there for a lot of, the Rust Belt was where I spent my time. And a lot of these people still communicate with me. They tell me what's going on in their towns and their cities. And every day I'm hearing that in these towns and the cities in the Rust Belt, as well as on the West Coast, as well as on the East Coast, what's happening? ICE is doing even worse than it was doing before. It's not getting reported on.
Right. Exactly. Well, how's our state of journalism? We haven't.
Well,
that's next.
Let's talk.
That's
let's
like
talk
6
about that.
points down. But your point earlier was, look at what this AP poll said about Trump's, the sense of his power abroad and what he would do in terms of his judgment abroad, but his immigration ratings, which were so high when he was elected, are tanking, and his economic sense. No one likes his economic sense, and those are tanking. I mean, it's tanking across the board. That's one of these seeds
Absolutely
of
tanking,
hope.
and this is why he's going to war. I mean, a war is something that authoritarians use to deflect public attention. There's nothing like a war to basically blot out everything else. He wants to be known as a war president, and he will go into the midterms, with guns ablazing. That's unfortunately that's his vision, to the extent that he has a vision.
Now, you can't say blot out without me thinking about the Epstein files. And how many emails with Donald Trump? I mean, his name appears tens of thousands of times. But this week, more has been revealed. We had Larry Summers step down, right, from his teaching position at Harvard. We had Hillary Clinton and President Clinton, right, Secretary of State and President, testifying, providing testimony.
Heather, it was the first time that a former president has ever been forced against his will to testify before Congress. The first time in the nation's history.
And it's not Melania and Donald.
And it's not Melania, it's not Donald. And Hillary, what in the world is she being forced to testify for? I mean, there's no evidence that she even knew Jeffrey Epstein.
That was
she
her
says
point
she didn't know.
in her press conference. I mean, she's like, I'm not in the emails. I never met the man. I never went to his office. I never went to an island. I never was on a plane.
I mean, Melania should have been called. I mean, Melania has more to do with Jeffrey Epstein than Hillary Clinton.
More, they were pals. She was pals with Ghislaine. It's in the emails. It's in the photos. I know. I know, it's so bad. But so, I mean, it's not that simplistic that a war with Iran would happen to cover up the Epstein files.
No, and the thing is that the Epstein files, I mean, this thing, it looks more and more like Watergate, and it's drip, drip, drip. More and more evidence is coming out. This week, I don't know if you saw it, there was the very important expose by the New York Times that looked through the files, and they found all of the indexes of the files. That is, what was in the files, the Epstein files, and the New York Times, going through all of these indices, what they found was that there were supposed to be 4 files on an allegation made by a woman in 2019 that both Jeffrey Epstein and Donald Trump had attacked her and raped her, and the only file that was in the files that were actually revealed to the public was a file about Jeffrey Epstein going after her. It said nothing about Trump, nothing about Trump. And,
also, I think NPR was the one that broke a lot of this news. So we got to give credit to NPR, especially
NPR, absolutely. But here's the thing. It's getting closer and closer. And as it gets closer, Trump knows that it's the one story that his MAGA base will not tolerate about him. That is pedophilia. And if they think that there is genuine evidence that he actually is a pedophile, they will break with him. Republicans in Congress know this. That's why Republicans wanted, with some pressure from the base, they said, we have got to get all those Epstein files. They still don't have all of them. 2.5 million files are being withheld at this time by the Justice Department.
But he will not go quietly. If and when they drip out, I mean, people are redefining what pedophilia is. It's like, I mean, really, I mean, you can, it's, there's many there are many flavors of it. He isn't really one. You saw all that happen. I mean, this will be ugly.
It's not going to work. But this fits in, as you just said, to the Iran war, because if we go to war with Iran, that in effect, the Epstein files disappear.
And the economy. I mean, so many things. It just takes over.
Yep.
The magnitude of it, the fear around it, the severity, the gravity, the stakes.
And the midterms are, 9 months away. And the thing about what we learned from Iraq and what we learned from Afghanistan and what we should have learned the last time we were in Iran is that once you're there, it's very hard to get out. I mean, these things don't just, you can't just attack and then leave.
No.
I mean, if the minute there are any ground troops, and the only way you get regime change, and Trump is talking about regime change, he's been talking about more and more about
Allegedly.
regime change in Iran. The only way you get regime change is you have troops on the ground, and the minute you have American troops on the ground, you've got, number one, bloodshed, American bloodshed, and number two, you've got almost no way out, no easy way out.
I'm very nervous about and hopeful around the midterms, I have to say, because you keep saying, look, when you hit rock bottom and you've needed a systemic overhaul, all this time we've needed an overhaul and a redo and a rethink and a redesign. Now we might get to do it. And so it is going to be difficult, but that allows me a little bit. I mean, again, I have fear around it. But
Well, you
it's
should.
like,
I do too, Heather. I'm worried sick about the midterms, but I'm very hopeful because if the Democrats get one House of Congress, one chamber, and I think that there's much more likely that they'll get the House than the Senate. Ideally, they get both. But if they do get at least one chamber, they can hold hearings, they can have investigations, they can really demonstrate clearly with the power of contempt of Congress, which can, we know what happened in the first Trump administration. We had Trump cronies going to jail because they refused to testify. Well, that is a power that Congress has, and it will be used. And a lot of things will come to light that are not now coming to light.
can we talk about AI in these elections a little bit? Because it's already these primaries in North Carolina. It has been wild to watch the AI money pour in. Wild.
AI is a big industry now. I mean, look at the biggest money groups right now supporting or being against politicians are AI and crypto and APAC.
Yep.
And then you also have Trump. I mean, Trump's own PAC is huge. But those are the big ones. Watch where the money, always follow the money.
I know. And so AI, so what happened with Anthropic this week?
Interesting story and troubling story. I'm sorry that there's so many troubling stories this week, but they're all
I'm sorry,
part of a
too.
big mosaic having to do with power and the misuse of power. Because Pete Hegseth says to Anthropic, which is the one AI, artificial intelligence company that is basically saying, we have principles. We are not going to allow our artificial intelligence to be used in such a way that it could be used to spy on Americans, to surveil Americans. We don't want it to be used in autonomous, non-human, lethal vehicles of war. We want people to be in control. And what Pete Hegseth says is you cannot set the terms of Pentagon contracts. In fact, if you will not give us it's called the Claude software. If you're not going to give us your Claude AI, artificial intelligence software, which is superior to everybody else's AI software, then we're going to take it. We're under the Defense Production Act. We are going to take it. And you have, what we ought to do is we ought to be congratulating a company that's holding out against competitive pressures to still have some responsibility.
Right. And a
with
willingness to say no, a willingness to put up a fight. I mean, so that it seems like they're sticking to their guns. It could change.
Well, they're sticking to their guns, but what happens is, he set this deadline for last night.
Yeah.
And if, he and the Defense Department, they could legally, under the Defense Production Act, they could basically take Anthropic's AI. I mean, we're in a game in which Donald Trump and the Trump administration and the people he's put around him, Hegseth and Pam Bondi and, the Robert F. Kennedy Jr. And Kristi Noem. These people have no sense of what the law or the Constitution should be or is, and they're just barreling in dangerous directions.
I know. Did you see that the Pope this week called on priests not to use AI for their sermons?
How would you use AI for a sermon if you were a priest?
You go in, you go to the website and you say hi. So this week I want to focus on, last week I did this homily. This week what I feel like that the church is really going through is, their fear and something. And so write me a terrific 10-minute sermon that is equal parts emotional, using different homilies than I used last week, that references strength, unity, and the
compassion,
joy. Yeah. And then it'll spit it out. And so what the Pope said is, listen, if you don't use your brain, it atrophies. So I would call on all of you to never use AI to write your weekly sermon for Sundays.
Every professor in the United States and across the world is basically saying the same thing. And everybody who is a student in every course is tempted to use AI for their coursework.
Tempted? So Bob, there are setups. You're allowed to use it in these ways. You're not allowed to use it in those ways. It really varies across the board. It is being used constantly. But I wonder, I don't know if the priests are more likely to listen to the Pope than the students are to listen to their teachers and professors.
I think that's right. I think that's right. But the big thing here is we are in a little narrow window of opportunity. AI is coming, it's like a big tidal wave coming in our direction. It's going to change the economy. It's going to take away jobs. It's going to change military kind of strategy. It's going to potentially, if there are no constraints, if there are no regulations, it could be a real threat to humanity. And this is the window of opportunity in which we as governments, we as people should be setting some guardrails.
Society, I know, and regulations.
But there are no guardrails. I mean, Trump doesn't want any guardrails. Pete Hegseth wants it to be used for national security without any guardrails. He says, to Anthropic and for everybody else, no, we want to use AI in ways that could conceivably use to survey the American people, to spy on the American people, right, to have weapons of war that have no human controls. I mean, this is nuts, Heather.
Also,
this is crazy.
My feed is filled with all these posts about AI right now, and what are the percentages that it's going to affect workforces. And I saw something recently that basically said all these people are being laid off, but the stocks are doing just fine for those companies. It's like, woo, fewer people, richer, bing. So yet again, certain cadre of person is getting richer, and the working class is being put out to sea.
Well, you just extrapolate from where we are right now, and you see that if nothing is done, if there are no constraints, then you've got AI capable of doing basically everything, taking away most, not just blue-collar jobs, but white-collar jobs as well. And then who is going to be left to buy all the wonderful things that AI can do and produce? I mean, nobody's going to have any money because they won't have any jobs.
And then this week, Netflix said, look, this is too much money. We're not into it anymore. We are not going to purchase and go into a big merger and be acquired by and merge with and have a baby with Warner Brothers Discovery. And so who's back in? Dun, 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 Paramount. So we've got we've got the Davids. We've got David Zaslav of Warner Brothers Discovery. We've got David Ellison and his dad, Larry, over there. And so it feels like it's not surprising that the company that's winning is the company that didn't only just offer money, they offered money and censorship. They were like, listen, we can mess with all these. We will get rid of this guy. We will punish that guy. We will change that newsroom so it's no longer objective.
Heather,
also we have the money.
Follow the money. Follow the money. Where does the money go? Where does it come from? It's Larry Ellison, the fourth richest person in America, and his son David. And they are cozying up and have been cozying up for years to Donald Trump. Major funders of Donald Trump put money into Trump's big ballroom, put money into wherever Trump wants. And they know what Trump wants, and they do what Trump wants. When they wanted to get CBS, what did they do? They basically got rid of Stephen Colbert. I mean, the Colbert Report is the Colbert Show is now going to be ending in May. I mean, and what's going to happen This is not even a rhetorical question, because I know exactly what the answer is. What's going to happen when Paramount owns CBS, owns HBO? What's going to happen to what's his name, John Oliver with HBO?
How about TikTok? You want to throw TikTok in
And it
there?
owns TikTok. It owns CNN. Okay, it owns
TNT.
But again, think about all of the people in these organizations who are going to be afraid to criticize Donald Trump because the ownership is all centralized in Donald Trump's, one of his chums, one of his best friends, somebody who is constantly sucking up to Trump. And this is not only dangerous in terms of our democracy, it's dangerous in terms of our economy. That kind of consolidation, huge consolidation.
I know,
of
journalism.
media.
But also, I mean, I'm not a betting gal and I'm not into poly markets, but I think this is going to happen, right? But there is still room for it to not happen. And a lot of people have been saying this online, like Alvaro Bedoya and others, that the state attorney general of California has said this is not a done deal. But there are other steps to make. The Department of Justice could say stop it.
The Department of Justice is not going to say stop
I know they
it.
won't, but let's
Pam
just remember.
Bondi is right in the middle of this.
Of course she won't.
And the Federal Communication Commission is not
I
going to
know.
stop it.
But what about
because
the EU?
Well, the EU might stop it for Europe.
What about the UK? The UK has its CMA or whatever it's called.
Yes, but that's the UK. It's Europe and the UK. But what about the United States?
Well,
This
we
is
have
where-
these. But then you tell me, because you're a lawyer and
Well, I'll tell you.
worked in anti-money lobby. Can't
tell you.
I, as an individual, sue against this? I think
No.
there's
Well,
a
you
private
don't-
person can.
You don't have standing. You don't have standing, Heather. But
You don't know what I might have behind my back over here.
I'll tell you who does have standing: state attorneys general. What should happen now is that the major state attorneys general should get together and they should sue to block this
Yes.
acquisition.
But also, Matt Stoller on Blue Sky told me that I do have standing. Individuals can sue against this.
Well,
I'm pretty
where are you
sure.
going to get the money, Heather? This is going to cost
Details,
you
Bob.
$1
Details.
billion.
I'm just saying what I want to brag about the power I could have to make myself feel
but
better.
the state attorneys general, really, I seriously think that they should ASAP.
Yeah.
They should sue to block this acquisition. This
I know.
is dangerous
But so
for
it's
the
not
country.
a done deal.
Right.
And there is this possibility, but it's looking very scary. And it is a behemoth of a company after this.
I mean,
and
it's-
all these movie franchises, Game of Thrones, Goonies.
But let me be clear. Yes, you can worry about TNT and Game of Thrones and all the movies. What worries me, though, is all of the commentators and critics and pundits and everybody else who is going to be either kicked out, like Stephen Colbert, or like they tried to do with Jimmy Kimmel, or going to be silenced because they are afraid of being kicked out,
Right.
because their jobs depend upon one individual, David Ellison, and his father, Larry Ellison, and again, that connection with Trump is absolutely critical.
So in the order of our concern, I definitely agree with that. Journalism up at the top, and also late night talk shows, which, are they journalism as such? They are a version of journalism, right? And so that to me is the top tier. But also all of these creative people, all of these actors, all of these writers, all of these incredible technicians who make movies happen. I mean, this is not good. This is really not good
Well,
for huge
put this
swaths
together with
of
what
the
we were just
economy.
talking about in terms of AI.
I know.
And supposing the Ellisons decide, okay, let's just replace all of this with AI.
Yeah, I know. Well,
Are you cheered up yet?
no, I'm trying to think of what else we can bring up. You had that Substack that you did that was interesting, and I always appreciate how honest you are about stuff. But so this was about heightism out there in the world, and there was
Heightism, yes.
There
Yes.
was a New York Times article talking about this leg lengthening procedure, that surgeries that people have. People have talked to you about this over the years, and you've told us when parents write in. Go ahead, you say it because it's better when you say it.
But this is new. What's new this week is that suddenly this operation, this surgery, where they insert something into your femurs and into your major bones that will expand and over time give you additional height. This surgery is suddenly becoming very fashionable. It's kind of a craze. The New York Times reported on it this week. And when parents of very short children come to me and they say, what should we do? Should we use hormone therapy or should we use something else? And now they're starting to come to, in fact, I just got something from a parent 3 days ago saying, should I really seriously think about this height surgery for my child? What I say to them, and I've been saying it for years, is no, don't do this. I'm, Heather, I'm very short. I'm extremely short. I'm at my zenith. I was 4'11". I mean, my latest book is called Coming Up Short. I tell them don't do this because there's no need. What your children need more than anything else is something that I received, and that is love.
Yep.
Love from my parents.
Yep.
And
Yep.
if parents show that they accept you and love you for who you are, that makes all the difference.
Right. And listen to you and just help you thrive.
Absolutely. That's what it's all about.
But it was so interesting. The online world is fascinating. We know this. But so there was a big trending thread on Reddit about your Substack that you wrote, and then people saying, what? He has the same thing as Danny DeVito? No one told us that. Robert Reich and Danny DeVito have the same thing wrong with their bones? This is wild.
I've never met Danny DeVito.
We should make that happen.
I would love to meet. Can we have him on the Klatch?
Yes.
Danny DeVito.
I control everything. The answer is yes.
Actually, the first person I want is Dolly Parton. Because Dolly Parton is also my height.
Okay.
And she has my, politically we agree completely.
DeVito.
And I've had a crush on her for the last 60 years.
So you want Dolly before Danny DeVito?
I think so, yeah.
Well, I'll see what the calendars
would be Dolly Parton and Danny DeVito.
Well, don't tell Danny. If we get Danny on, we don't tell him that we were trying to get Dolly first. Promise? Pinky swear on that one?
No, I will swear.
It'll be really awkward.
I will tell you. But I think that, let's just go with short people.
You and
Randy Newman.
Randy Newman. No.
Randy Newman. Short people don't have a right to live. Isn't that what his?
No, that was not it. But that was the
was?
vibe. What was the? Now I've forgotten the lyric. Short people have.
I think it's no right to live. I think that's what I remember. I was personally insulted. I thought, who does he think he is? This is heightism.
But you very much owned this, and you've talked about how it's affected you in terms of bullying and so much. And then when you ran for governor of Massachusetts,
when I
you
ran
got
for governor,
hot water.
Well, there are two major. I ran in 2002. There are two major newspapers. One is the Boston Herald. The other is the Boston Globe. The Globe is supposed to be liberal. The Herald is very conservative. And when I ran, even the Boston Globe would only put pictures of me whenever I gave a speech standing on my box. They always had to have my box. They always had to emphasize.
Look at him. He needs help. He needs to.
That's right.
Yeah.
That was the subliminal message.
Yeah.
And the Herald was even worse. The Herald said front page headlines that short people are angry with me because I made jokes about my height.
So there is a clip that Vishal on our team and Michael found.
Dear.
And it's Fox News at its worst best. And it's you, and I think it's very you, where you own what you said, and you said this was my intention behind it.
But there's one group of people that's not laughing. In fact, they accuse Reich of insensitivity and even belittling himself, so to speak, just to get votes.
It's not right to make fun of us because of our size.
Kara Egan is part of Little People of America, a support group for short people. She says Reich's jokes invite ridicule.
It's like, oh, I've got permission to laugh at Robert Reich for his height, so people are getting permission to laugh at others who are short.
I can understand that some people are very sensitive about their physical stature or whatever, and I certainly don't mean to insult anybody. I do mean to make fun of myself, and that's all.
Reich's jokes seem to be playing well. The latest Boston Globe poll gives him 23% of the vote, the highest among the top 5 Democratic candidates, and neck with the Republican. But Reich has a different way of sizing up the competition. He says he's head and shoulders beneath them.
Well, Heather...
Talk about some cliches. I mean, even you probably hadn't heard all of those.
I had not. But look, sticks and stones may break my bones, but, I don't worry and never have worried about insults. And people do insult me. And since I've been out there, trying to stand up to Trump, people, I get a lot of angry people. A lot of Trump supporters do tell me in no uncertain terms that I don't know what I'm talking about, or even worse. But I think, Heather, and this is something that I want to share with you and also with all of you out there, it's a time for courage. It's a time for all of us to have thick skins in terms of making sure that we stand by our principles and we stand up to people who are not just Trump supporters. I'm talking about people who are actually supporting authoritarianism, who are dumping on democracy, who don't believe in democracy, who are using bigotry as a weapon, as Trump does, who are believing his lies, his trumped up charges about whether it's Iran or whether it's a stolen election, or whether he says the economy is good when it's obviously not good. In fact, it's bad for most people. When he says that climate change is a hoax, it's not a hoax. People are feeling its effects. And I think that one thing that gives me hope is that people are beginning to see the truth, because they see prices going up. They see that Trump is not at all in touch with reality. They see that, for example, there are farmers who are out there against AI, more of the kind of big factories that AI is creating all over America that are using energy and destroying the environment. There are people who are seeing reality, that there is no evidence justifying our attack on Iran. Trump has provided no evidence. These are just assertions. And so standing up to tyranny, standing up to authoritarianism, standing for democracy requires a degree of courage. And we have it. You have it. Heather, you have it. Everybody who's helping us has it. And I want to thank you. I want to thank all of you for your courage, your tenacity, your willingness to take on some of the really most frightening, powerful, most ghastly forces that we've ever encountered in our lifetimes, in recent memory. Thank you. Thank you for your service. Thank you for your concern about America and the world. Heather, we'll see you next week.